Hi, Ink Teacher here with a tutorial on how to draw the human figure from memory and imagination. Today let's talk about the difference between drawing legs from the front and the side. So in the previous tutorial I described drawing legs primarily from the side. Let's go ahead and draw a box here that'll basically start out the hips here. Anchor point 2/3 down, 1/3 up. And let's have one leg going off to the side here where we can really get a sense that we're looking at the side of the leg. And we'll have another leg that is seen more from the front here. And anchor point, anchor point, anchor point, anchor point. So, as far as the lower half of the body, we just went through the first stage. Let's go ahead and take it into the second stage where, like in the last tutorial, from the side, what we're going to do is that when you're filling in the legs, this anchor point right here rests a little bit behind the kneecap, and from the side it goes right back and then out again. This anchor point here, you want to go ahead and have equal distance to back and from center to front, and you want to the lower legs go in this direction and the upper legs go in this direction, so as described in the previous tutorial. So basically what you have here is you want to bring it into 3D space, and you want to kind of imagine the center of the leg down the front of the leg. You're following it, and it makes this, it kind of bows this way, anchor point, and it bows that way. That's a simplification. I'll draw it over here. So the simplification acting here is that, first you have distance, anchor point, distance for the leg, and you've got the line bowing out this way and then bowing back this way, just to keep in mind when you're drawing. So what happens when you draw it primarily from the front? It's going to be a very different shape from this one. For one thing, legs on the inside keep a much, the overall forms can form, kind of line up against a much straighter line on the inside. And if you think about it, it makes sense because these two legs are going to be moving together, and as far as the inside goes, you don't want any obstructions. You want this basically, you don't want to have forms bowing out because the legs are passing each other, and so the overall forms of the leg conform to a relatively slightly curved but mostly straight line from down from the hips to the knee central, to the knee anchor point, and to the ankle anchor point. And again, the anchor point here at the ankle, you want equal distance here. And then what happens on the outside of the leg is you've got basically the creation of, like, in this case it's a mirror image of the B, but you think of the letter B, you've got straight and two curves. And we'll reverse it to draw this leg. So basically you have this shape here, and we'll see it operating here. You've got the overall forms bow outward here to the anchor point and bow outward here to the anchor point. Now again, keeping in mind that we want to begin to have a sensation of the 3D world while we're drawing, I like to go ahead, once I have the distance and anchor points marked out, I want to go ahead and think of the dividing line down the front of the leg, and this helps me bring it into the 3D. So basically you've got here's the kneecap here, and if you can start to think about what is that contour that represents roughly the middle of the leg down the front, then you know that this calf form back here rests behind that contour. And the contour, as you can see from here, pushes back behind the anchor point. It's like this anchor point here, you know, the distance between this anchor point here and this anchor point down here, this line starts to, you know, get overtaken by the outside contour. And if you can start to, while you're drawing this, if you can start to imagine the way these shapes take place in 3D space, you can imagine the leg, you know, the leg anchor point, the leg moves from this point here. This point here is where you'll establish where the leg will pivot around in. But the legs coming off the hip area, a mass of them come off here, and so you want, when you're working out, now if you look at a lot of the shin bones, they'll arc, they don't go like that, they'll go out like that. You'll see the curvature of the shin bone up to the knee, so you want to go ahead and take this form and move it out in this direction. And as you refine this, of course, these inner lines aren't going to follow a straight contour, but their overall form will line up with against an imaginary straight line that falls down to here and to here. And so this represents the basic difference between side view leg and front view leg. And of course, if you've got like 3/4 view, you're going to keep both of these ideas in mind. This sort of like bow this way, bow that way, and then this this B shape for the side view. And always try to start to draw in 3D space. Imagine, try to feel where this actual form is located, and not just on the page, but how it would be located in the 3D world. You know, if you're going to draw the leg that is more to this angle, 3/4 view, this form here, see how the form is very much behind or on the side of the shin bone? This form would be a little bit behind the shin bone as the shin bone moves to cover it. And you can see from the front view, this form here has completely gone behind the shin bone, you know, just as an example. And please visit my animation work at solomation.com if you if you would like to encourage my free tutorials at all. That is the number way you can vote to have me put more of these free tutorials up on the net. And I appreciate the comments I've gotten, and I hope you have some good drawing. Have a good day.